Welcome back to Movie Synopsis.
Today we are going to recap a 2010 drama romance movie titled Student Services. A financially strapped college student enters the sex trade to make ends meet. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Laura, a gorgeous young girl, is introduced at the start of the film. She passes out in class while listening to a lecture. She discovers that her body is weak as a result of her lack of food. Laura's financial situation is dire, and she is barely able to pay her college tuition. Laura's teacher tells her to eat more meat in order to keep healthy, but she refuses because meat is too expensive. As a result, her teacher advises her to sue her parents for failing to care for her. Laura rejects, claiming that her parents are unable to supply her with money, even if they wanted to, because both of her parents work. Laura shares an apartment with her boyfriend Manu, where they split the rent. Both of them are having financial difficulties. The energy company switches off the power since their payments for electricity are past due. Laura becomes dissatisfied with her existing status and chooses to look for another part-time work. After some browsing, she comes across an ad for a man named Joe who is looking for beautiful young students to massage. Laura applies for the job because he is offering a good salary. Joe sends Laura a photo of himself and explains that they will not be getting physical. Laura goes to a hotel the next day to meet Joe. After entering the hotel room, Joe hands Laura a note in which she is instructed to undress first. Although she hesitates and is apprehensive at first, she gradually removes her clothes. Laura is told to shower after she is stripped down to her underwear. When she exits the bathroom, she notices Joe in his underwear laying on the bed. Laura feels embarrassed by the whole thing, but Joe, being the professional that he is, continues to give her instructions. Joe and Laura start discussing about their personal lives after a time of stroking each other. Joe pays Laura the agreed upon amount when the timer runs out. Laura is overjoyed with her first paycheck and plans a small get-together with her pals. Laura works part-time in a call center in her spare time. She continues to attract more high-paying clients. She locates her second customer a few days later and arranges to meet him at a nearby restaurant. This is the man's first time performing something like this, and he is nervous. As a result, Laura advises him to take him somewhere quiet. The man leads her to a parking lot where they are alone. Laura is more confident this time and uses her hands and mouth to warm up the man's mating machine. The man, however, is looking for more than just a massage and forces himself on Laura, who is absolutely helpless in the circumstances. He leaves Laura there when he's finished and pays Laura for forcing himself on her. Laura returns home and tells Manu about her ordeal in the hopes of eliciting some sympathy from him. Manu, on the other hand, is unconcerned about Laura's cries. Laura, enraged, decides to end her relationship with him and vacates his residence. Laura studies whenever she can as her examinations approach. She meets a man named Benjamin while studying at a neighborhood tavern. The two become quite close after some drinking and conversing. Benjamin kisses Laura as he walks back to his house. She also kisses and cuddles him since he brings her comfort. Laura works as a model for adult magazines in her spare time to supplement her income. The photographer invites Laura to participate in an adult video with a guy and a female who is also a student after the photo shoot. Laura, on the other hand, refuses, claiming that just because she posed naked for the picture session doesn't mean she'll allow anyone touch her body. Laura strikes up a conversation with one of her pals, who, like her, provides adult services. Laura's acquaintance discloses that she has worked for over 20 different clients and has made a lot of money, which she has spent on expensive gifts. Laura realizes that many of her wealthy female classmates may be giving adult services in the same way she does. The prospect of being able to buy extravagant gifts anytime she wants tempts her. Laura is working as a maid when the owner of the house approaches her and offers her to live with him since he is drawn to her attractiveness. The owner of the house wants her body as payment, so she doesn't have to pay rent for the room. Laura explains that she needs some time to consider it. She reminds herself that she is not a street woman, and that the only reason she is providing adult services is to pay for her university tuition. Laura administers the university exams and receives good results. Laura decides to get a laptop to help her study more effectively as her final semester exam approaches. However, she discovers that she is unable to purchase a laptop due to a lack of funds. So she contacts her first customer, Joe, in the hopes of making some quick cash from him. The next day, She meets Joe in the hotel room and discovers a laptop, which Joe had given her as a gift. Joe, however, wants more this time in exchange for such a costly gift. As a result, he ties Laura up and gets physical with her. Laura, on the other hand, manages to release herself and swiftly dress. She grabs the laptop, accepts her cash, and dashes home. Laura is terrified by the occurrence since she may have died if she hadn't managed to free herself from the shackles. She invites Benjamin to her place later because she needs to talk to someone about her pain. Laura tells him about her ordeal and informs him that she provides adult services. Benjamin, on the other hand, is unconcerned about it and consoles Laura, telling her that he cares about her and doesn't mind what she does for a living. Laura regains her self-assurance and continues providing adult services to her customers. She juggles her new work and her education at the same time. She scarcely has time for Benjamin as a result of this. When one of Laura's clients keeps contacting her and disturbing their date night, he loses his cool. Laura goes to see Joe again one day, despite the fact that she knows what he did to her the prior time. When Benjamin learns of this, he is enraged because he believes Laura is simply interested in the money and no longer loves him. Laura expresses her regret to Benjamin and tells him that she will no longer see Joe. She even kisses Benjamin below his abdomen, but Benjamin is tired of being jealous all of the time and decides to end their relationship. Laura also loses her cool and attacks Benjamin, claiming that because he never went to college, he has no idea what it takes to work for a living. Benjamin is also referred to as a spoilt papa's boy by her. She goes to the photographer, enraged, and demands that he remove all of her images. When the photographer refuses, Laura becomes enraged and assaults him. She's absolutely lost at this point and chooses to give up. When she informs Joe about her ambitions to start over in Paris, he offers her $1,000 to spend 5 hours with him. As a result, Laura agrees to meet him again because the money could help her pay her bills. Laura is asked to attend an explicit film with his other friends at a club where the two of them go. Laura is uneasy in her surroundings, but she tries to put up with it for a few more hours. She is then escorted to a secluded room, where she is exploited by Joe and his friends. Laura showers and leaves the club after that. After serving Joe and their friends, she is extremely exhausted. She goes back to the hotel with Joe and asks that he pay her the agreed upon sum right away. She goes to the restroom and sobs alone since the men had degraded and raped her. When she emerges from the toilet, she discovers an envelope on the bed, containing only $100. Joe took advantage of her predicament and defrauded her by offering her $1,000. She discovers a letter from Joe, in which he promises to pay the remaining balance the next time they meet. Laura feels helpless in her condition because, no matter how hard she tries to quit, she is compelled to return to the adult industry in some way. She goes to the university the next day and informs her friend that she is leaving town. Laura asks a friend to provide her notes so she can study for the tests without attending any courses. Laura no longer has the courage to live in humiliation in the city that has taken so much from her. She boards the train and hides in the restroom because she doesn't have enough money to purchase a ticket. She phones Joe and asks him to pay the balance, but Joe informs her that he has cancer and is unable to transfer her funds. Laura goes into a friend's room after landing in Paris. She goes out the next day to look for work, but she is unable to do so because all businesses are looking for full-time employees. However, after a period of struggle, she is able to secure employment at a restaurant. Laura returns to the city that nearly shattered her life on the day of her final examinations. Laura takes the exam seriously since she wants to attain her goals. Laura is pleased to find that she passed the exam with flying colors on the day of the results, and she celebrates with her new friends. She calls Joe one last time to inform him that she has graduated with honors. She doesn't have to sell her body anymore, and she can finally live a respectable life doing what she enjoys. She becomes a writer and publishes a book on her struggles as a student, which becomes a national sensation almost immediately. Thousands of students live in terrible poverty, and many more struggle to pay for their educations, she says in a live interview. It is for this reason that the majority of female students begin giving adult services to help pay for their expenses. It isn't a choice for them, it is a necessity to exist. And this is where the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed it, as always until next time.